Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock. With news, the impact of a potential Brexit is seriously overhyped. But first, in the US, consumer prices were up 2.6% year on year for all items except food and energy. This is the core data the Fed uses in it and is slightly up on the last reading. Including food and energy, prices were up 1% year on year, which was a tick lower than last month. This data actually tipped one US Fed member to change his mind and become a bit more dovish. Housing starts in May came in 9.5% higher than the same month a year ago, which will boost construction for a while yet in the US. But building permits issued for May came in 10% lower than the same month a year ago, so that boost may run out of steam in the next year or so, unless building permits are applied for rise soon. In China, house price gains are extending into second-tier cities, even though they are moderating somewhat in the largest urban areas. In May, 50 of the 70 major cities tracked saw year-on-year price gains, up from 46 in April. Average new house prices climbed 6.9% year-on-year, up from April's 6.2% rise. This expanding trend creates an interesting problem for Beijing because it is a rare bright spot in their economy at present, but it is also just an asset price bubble when productive sectors are under pressure. It's hard to see much value in a bright spot other than reinforcing the wealth effect. The Indian central bank boss has quit, realising he would not get reappointed after it became clear he was losing support by members of the Indian government at the very senior level. He was increasingly opposed by their hardline Indian nationalists, the Indian version of the Trump-Johnson-Le Pen forces that are shaking the Western world. However, this resignation has had no impact so far on their currency, although markets are closed until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. In Europe, all the news focus there is on the Brexit vote. The IMF is weighing in, warning of the dangers of a leave vote, but mainly for Britain. The French warned the UK would become irrelevant. The Russians are stirring the pot, hoping the leave vote will weaken NATO and the EU. But more voices are seeing the risks either way, all to the UK. Few now think a leave vote will have much impact on the global financial system. In New York, the benchmark US Treasury 10-year yield ended last week up 5 basis points and back to 1.61%. The oil price rose marginally over the weekend, but is still low. The US benchmark is now just on $48 a barrel and the Brent benchmark just on $49 a barrel. For the first time in a while, we are seeing rises in the number of drilling rigs in action in the US, up 10 in the last week. Even though they're only at half the level they were a year ago, that is now 4 consecutive weeks of rises. The gold price is marginally higher at $1,293 an ounce. And finally, the New Zealand dollar will start the week at 70.5 US cents, at 95.4 Aussie cents and at 62.6 Euro cents. The TWI is at 73.8. The currency has been remarkably stable since its re-rating higher after the RBNZ MPS. Some think that if the Brexit risks moderate, the New Zealand dollar could rise by as much as 1 cent more. I'm David Chaston. That is 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.